Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Beauty Outlaw Podcast. Today is another great episode of Esthetician Diaries. This is one of the most popular episodes, and today I'm bringing you Lashelle Yulee. He is an esthetician that's licensed here in California, and he's located his practice in Beverly Hills, California. He is focused on men's health, bringing that to the table. Men need love and wellness when it comes to their skin just as much as women, and he's doing that. He's also an educator and a teacher. So today we're breaking down everything with him. We're going to talk about how he built his business, when he decided to launch, and he goes way back to being a makeup artist almost 30 years ago. So today we're going to break down everything about Lashelle, how he got into the business. We're going to talk about COVID. I believe that's when he launched his own business. We are going to talk about social media and those challenges, marketing budget. We are going to get into everything, but we're going to cover also race, culture, and sex in aesthetics. Lashelle is all about men of color and bringing wellness and skin wellness to men of color, introducing that to them. And I am fascinated by this. I think he is amazing. Looking forward to the episode and meeting Lashelle. All right, and now a quick shout out to our sponsor, HealMD. HealMD is the real deal, guys. They come with high quality. Their product is lab tested, gluten-free, cruelty-free, and non-GMO. All of their focus is on holistic health. And I've been using it in my practice for a long time, way before they were a sponsor. So whether your patients need to de-stress before a procedure or deal with bruising using their awesome Arnica topical, HealMD has been a total game changer for me here in my practice. My patients love it. I'll tell you a story. I had a patient after Sculptra that got very, very bruised. And I've dealt with Arnicas in the past, but what I'm telling you, when I went with the CBD Arnica from HealMD, it was totally changed my practice when it came to post-care. So I recommend it. Seriously, go to the notes now, the show notes, and hit the link and grab some today. It's amazing. So a big shout out to HealMD for being a sponsor and also for making my clients recover so much smoother and their experience feels so much better. All right, you guys heard the intro of my very special guest, Lashelle. Welcome, Lashelle.
Hi.
You're like, hi. We're not
Contained.
too far away. You're in Beverly Hills.
I am.
I'm in South Orange County.
Yep.
For those of you that don't know, we're about, well, the old school days, we were about 50 minutes away. 45. Now we're about 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours away. But you know what? It was a nice 2.5 hours. It was a very calm ride. I actually took the train in, which I loved.
Where did you land, San Juan? Or
No,
right
no,
here?
right here.
On Cabot?
Cabot, yep.
Yep.
Right on Cabot. And it was the most calming ride. I had a moment to do a little research, do a little meditation, do a little writing. Yeah, before we got started. So this was a nice one. And then I had a breakfast at Paul's.
Yes. Lashelle got here a little early because he took the train. And you had some Polish sausage.
Polish sausage, the full country breakfast. My grandparents are Southern, were Southern, and that's how we grew up. And it reminded me of those restaurants in New Jersey we would go to, the hash browns, the eggs. It was fantastic. And it just was like a nice way to start the morning. So.
Well, I like that because we're going to start with what you just said.
Yeah.
We're going to go way back. New Jersey.
Okay.
Your upbringing, what that looked like. I don't know this story. So start young. Start from the beginning. Siblings, the whole thing. Parents.
Oh, wow. Oh, I love this. You're going to have me talk just about all those things, my family.
I think it's important because I think it really will shed light even more on who you are. And we are a product of our past.
Yeah.
So go for it.
I grew up in Patterson, New Jersey, and I was raised by my father's mother and her husband, her youngest daughter and her husband. So we all lived in a house together, and my brother. family overall was pretty close knit. You know, the aunts and uncles, and we got together on the weekends and on holidays for family dinners. So we had a really loving, big, gregarious family.
Beautiful.
And my grandmother provided such structure.
As they do.
You know, she was not
Good
planned.
ones do.
And, you know, we had originally lived in a place called Alabama Projects, which was a high-rise building, projects pretty rough. And then we moved, she moved
How
us
old
out.
were you when this happened?
When we
The transition, yeah.
10 years old. She was like, I
okay.
got to get them out of here. And we got to a place that was, they called them co-ops, which were like garden houses.
Yes.
Front yards, backyards, you know. And then we went to a different school. So we got integrated with more Italian Jewish kids, which
The best.
the best.
The best.
The best. And I got to see how we are all connected because the mothers are all the Italian mothers and Jewish mothers and black mothers.
Oh.
Solid. They're all the same. So we went there and we started, I went there at 10 and I, you know, grew up in that area. It was called Brook Sloat. It's a very interesting name.
Float.
Yeah. So, you know, grandma was tough, but grandma had structure and she was loving. This is what my grandmother did. This is why I love this woman. Loved this woman. She's no longer with us. She worked she's blue collar. Okay. She worked as a housing maintenance authority. So the projects that we lived in, she was a part of supervising the men that did all of the construction, the painting, dealing with the apartments and what have you. So she was the head of that, okay? This woman would come home every night. She will cook dinner. We sat down to dinner. Me and my
Thing of the past.
Yeah, thing of the past. Can you believe that?
I did too,
We
yeah.
sat down to dinner. We had chores that had to be done.
Chores?
Oh, yeah.
What are those?
Right? my grandmother was like, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. There was consequences, okay?
That's another thing of the past.
Consequences? Oh, honey. Because everybody's in their silos now. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, thing of the past, you know.
Thing of the
So
past.
we understood, yin and yang, right from wrong because of those consequences. And so that was happening. But what I loved about her, so she had that piece to her. But my grandmother can come home and we had a beautiful garden. She can landscape, right? She can cook food. But she was also very feminine.
Miracles of a woman.
What? And I looked at her, especially as a young gay man. I'm looking at my grandmother who can just go into masculine and feminine energy at any given point. She was actually the nucleus of the entire family to her own sisters and stuff. So I'm watching this powerful, strong woman then raise these two boys again, you know?
Wait. The gay part.
Yeah.
We have to dial that in because I got to ask because
Okay.
it's just who I am.
No problem.
Culture, race, and sex in the Black community. How did that go over? How old did you?
Oh, I knew when I was like 4 years old. Like the family knew when I was 2. They said I used to hold my milk bottle like this. Seriously. My aunt tells this story. It's like, oh, we knew when you were young. You were in the crib and you held your bottle. You were holding it like this. Like when I was a little boy, it was, by the time I started walking, I knew I wanted to play with dolls. And my grandmother nurtured that. Leave him alone, let him play with the Barbie dolls. Like she nurtured that. And my father at first had questions, and I'll answer your question. So let me answer your question first. So how it went over, primarily, it's not really something that was accepted. This is late 80s, early 90s, right? But here's the thing. When you grow up in the projects, there were a lot of effeminate gay men. And when I say effeminate gay men, you would like now call them fluid or ambiguous because they were not drag, but they were not full masculine, but they were the toughest ones in the neighborhood. Do you understand? And I always said, just by watching these men, it takes a real man to walk around with a purse. Do you know what that is to be in an environment like that?
Like you were in.
Like I was in. And the men who normally would have said nasty things or did harmful things were afraid to even mess with those gay guys because they knew that they couldn't get their face punched off. Because the gay guy, you have to build that inner strength. And you have to have a certain confidence, because if you wavered in that confidence, then there was going to be a problem. You were subject to be harmed.
Uh-oh. Pause real quick.
One of your visitors?
We didn't have it locked.
Hi.
Oh, that's okay. What do you need?
I think he's lost.
I'm with an AI medical company.
Oh, sorry. We're filming a podcast. Usually we lock the door.
I'm sorry.
You're part of it. Hey, we have to roll this.
What an angelic
Come
face.
here. Come here. Come in here.
Yeah.
Come in here.
Yeah.
We're rolling this.
Come on
here.
in.
Come on in. Get in front of the camera.
Look at this angelic
Get in front of the
face.
camera real quick. Look at
Where's
that
the
camera.
camera?
We're trying
There
to
it is.
film a podcast, and
I'm
this
so
cutie
sorry.
patootie comes knocking at the door. You didn't knock. You just opened the
Beautiful
door.
office.
Look at this sweetest face. It's like you have.
I was so confused.
You look like you're a little confused.
Expecting to see like a front desk and an office. And expect to see this whole setup. It's a
Well,
nice
you're
setup.
so sweet. Thank you very
Yes.
much. We're just filming a podcast, The Beauty
How's it
Outlaw,
going?
and I expect you today to like and subscribe.
Beauty Outlaw?
Beauty Outlaw on YouTube.
Okay.
All
Oh,
right,
you're
See,
you heard it.
Very
there's
sweet.
no coincidences.
No.
None at
not.
all. And what's your name?
Bronson.
Hi,
Bronson.
Bronson. What a very nice
Hi,
name.
Bronson.
Thank you.
Say
Appreciate
hi,
it.
Bronson,
Hey,
to the-
Bronson.
to yourself. All right.
Guys.
Bye bye.
Okay.
See you
Aw.
later.
Have a good day. Sorry.
See? No.
Watch
oops.
yourself.
So that's what happens at the Beauty Outlaw podcast when you're running it inside your business
Yeah.
and you don't lock the front door.
Anything
Anything can happen, right?
Anything can
Lashelle?
happen,
So we
yes.
just needed to give Bronson a shout out because he came in hustling.
Yeah,
And I
he
love
did.
me a hustler.
Yeah. I mean, you could just sweet face. So I was like, yeah, just whatever you're gonna sell.
on
What
in.
do you want?
Come
What do you
on
got?
in.
He's so sweet.
And we were right in the middle of this amazing conversation
Yeah, I don't want to veer.
about, I know, but you were talking about the power of being in your own body
Yeah.
and physique. And back then in the 80s, early 90s, you had to bring it.
You had another choice. And like I said, I learned very early on because I always celebrated my femininity very early on. And I knew that I couldn't cower from that because if I did that, that was going to bring me more issues as a gay man, meaning more ridicule or, subject to be harmed. And so I had to own that. And my grandmother was like, you need to own that. And some of the men in my family was like, look, I don't care what you are and what you do. I just need for you to be a
Wow.
man. And this is what this looks like. Be a man of your word. Be able to handle your business because, back in the day, sometimes physical things would happen and I had to be able to take care of myself. Thank God that really wasn't my life, but those tools were given to me.
That's a beautiful thing right there because it's kind of, what's the terminology men use? Man up. Like you have to man up to a man, another man. You're not going to be attacked physically, most likely by a woman because of your beliefs or but you could be attacked physically by a male. And they taught you just to shut it down.
Just shut it down. Own who you are.
Know who you are.
And
shut
shut
it
it
down.
down if you
whatever
need
way
to.
you have to.
And my grandmother installed that on us when we were younger. The kids would, we would get into little fights at the play yard and my brother and I would come in crying and she says, okay, no problem. She would bring us back out and go, which one of you had the fight with him? Okay, you hit him back because if you don't hit him back, then I'm going to hit you. This was, I don't know if that's even
I
politically
grew up in
correct.
those.
Do you know what I mean? So I had no other choice but to sort of learn how to become very strong and stand up for myself. And I think inherently my grandmother just knew who her grandchildren were. She knew that if I don't teach Lashelle this, that he's going to get walked over. And when I got into high school and I started to mix in with different people and would bring them over, she would always say, they want what you have. Now, we came from a lower middle class family, right? So I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't have the car. I don't have the money. My friends had more of that stuff. And she says, that's not what I'm talking about. And you're allowing it. So I guess, she knew.
She knew.
She knew who I was, right?
Boy, what a forward-thinking woman. Or just loving her family.
She did. I mean, and it didn't come without its sacrifices. I mean, she was a hard woman, and she still was her own individual human with her own individual history that she brought into her mothering, and that we felt the repercussions of that. And at 48 years old, that I'm still working through and healing through.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of things that she handed down that wasn't so great.
Yeah.
And I don't say that very often. I don't say that very often because it's always
you want to tribute her, put her on it, as she should be.
Yeah.
But we don't we're just humans.
Yeah.
And so was your grandmother. She was a human trying to make it the best way she could. And what she did for you is pretty amazing.
She was a gift. And
she believed in you.
She did. She did. Okay.
We're going there.
We're going to go there because it's so funny. I didn't find that out until I was in my late 30s because and I think this happens with a lot of Black mothers in the community, especially if they're raising the boys on their own, mostly. And even though we had our grandfather, my uncles around, they were the matriarch. Black community families, mostly, not all now, at least when I was growing up, was more matriarchal, based. So she was not always supportive in her words. It was always what I wasn't going to be.
Yeah.
And so every time she told me I wasn't going to be, that was a challenge for me to go, I'll show you.
And you did.
And I've been doing that for all my life. Anytime you told me I wasn't and I wasn't going to be. So that was her gift to me without her knowing it.
It was also her fear.
Oh, of course.
And she came from a different time.
Oh, honey.
Different generation. A lot was put on her plate.
Yep.
I'm not defending anyone, but you need to understand.
I understand it now.
Yeah. It takes our well, you're not there yet, but senior citizen years
Almost.
to understand what happens in our past with the people that uproot us, raise us. They're only capable of what they're capable of.
Yeah. And, when I got to LA, maybe 2 years in, I went to visit her, and she said to me, this is what she said to me, and it just gave me such affirmation. She said, I always said you were going to make a lot of money. And I looked at her, and I said, you've never said that to me. I said, is that what you were thinking?
That's what she was thinking.
And that was like, oh, okay. And I'm still kind of like sitting with that these years later. She's been she's transitioned about 8 years ago, actually, this coming November. But yeah, she said that to me, and I looked at her like, Maron, like lady, like, you know what I'm saying? Like
you're going back to your Italian.
I grew up around those kids, right? So I go, you could have let me know that, encouraged me a little bit. She had her moments, but it was more like, nah, like let me keep you safe and let me keep you with me, and then the world won't eat you up. Because my Shelly, that's my name from home. They called me Shelly.
Shelly.
Yeah, my whole family calls me Shelly. No one calls me Lashelle.
I love that. Okay, that's my new name for you.
You can call me Shelly. It feels more comfortable to me because that's what everybody calls me.
Shelly, I love that.
So they called me Shelly, and she was just like, like I said, so it took, to me being an adult for her to kind of like, I saw the full round of, oh, this is why you did it this way or didn't do it this way. And I am very grateful because it has built up such tenacity in me. Mm-hmm.
She tapped.
And resilience in me. Mm-hmm. I am grateful to her and the other women in my family.
What's her name?
Her name was Mary Thomas, but she went as Frankie. Miss Frankie.
There you go again, Miss Frankie.
Everybody knows her as Miss Frankie.
Shout out to Miss Frankie.
Shout out to Miss Frankie. And when she walked through the community, everybody knew my grandmother. Do you know how sense of pride I had? I felt really... Here's the thing. Me and my brother were raised so well that when all our friends had money, you could not separate us from them in terms of the pride, the way we look, because she presented well. She used to parade us. Every year, people looked for us to dress up in our suits because she would parade us through.
She was a marketing strategist.
Oh, my God.
Which is where you get your marketing strategy.
I can't. We were the kids.
You put it together.
We were the kids in Paterson, New Jersey, going to school with briefcases and penny loafers and Argyle sweaters.
Love it.
I used to I was so embarrassed that I used to one day, my teacher from 7th grade saw that I took the loafers and wrapped them up and put them in a garbage can to hide them, to put the sneakers on I wanted. She, on back to school night, she says, you dress the kids so well and they present so well. I don't know why Lashelle decides to put
Threw
his
you under the bus.
Oh, yeah. And my grandma was like, do you not know what I'm doing here?
She was leveling you up to what the standard was. And she's just marketing you.
She was marketing me.
And as we all do our children,
oh my God,
grandchildren,
yeah,
we want the best. We want them to look the best. We want them to fit in because we fear the minute they walk down that street to go to school, somebody will say something and attack them. And your grandma made sure that didn't happen.
Oh no, she was not playing. You couldn't have not told me. I felt like a spoiled rich kid, like growing up, especially when at the time I got 16 years old. I can't believe I'm going to tell people this, because my grandmother knew he's gay, let him be. She got me a canopy set, but she didn't let me get the awning.
Oh, shoot. I had that. I love that.
She was like, let him do it. And she treated me like a prince, she was definitely the master marketer in our family.
And that kind of thing runs downhill, and it came to you.
Yeah.
Master marketing.
You asked me other questions, and I'm sorry. So you said race culture. So being Black and gay, yeah, it's hard. It was hard, but there was ways around it if you were tough, right? The one thing I didn't get to see a lot of was healthy relationships. There was not that happening there. It was very. I don't even want to use the word toxic. I think when all of us come from these different broken homes and no mom and father, sense of relationships were very superficial, very idealistic. And I stuck out. I stuck out in the Black Hispanic community, and I felt more comfortable when I went to New York and started hanging out with the more white community because they allowed me in, but the love was not there because there was a whole stereotype.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know how to answer the question other than I spent my teenage years until adult years as a gay man just trying to figure it out and just getting in where I can fit in. And the last I'll say about my grandmother, she raised a gentleman, so I knew that you could fit them anywhere. And I've been trying to navigate through those waters since. I swear. It's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot. And 48 years, and that's 48 years young is what I like to say. And you look all of 32. So
thank you.
Just
Bobbi Brown
clear.
Concealer Foundation still.
Yes. There you go. Where did you start? I know that you started working in, was it a department store?
Yep.
And you were stocking
for
makeup?
Yep.
And you were like, hey,
I can do makeup. Okay, so my makeup career really started when I played with Barbie dolls and I would take nail polish remover and remove the makeup. That's when it really started. But when I got paid for it, it was when I actually, straight out of high school, I was working for Estee Lauder. I was their stock person, and I hated it. But let me tell you something. Once again, grateful that I did it because I understand SKUs. I understand how to do inventory. You don't see these things.
No, you were like this. You were watching.
But when you're sitting here, you go, oh, everything has led up to this moment. But anyway, I was a stock guy, and I was like, I'm tired of doing this. I want to do makeup. Let me do makeup. They were like, eh. And this one woman, Sandy, I love you. I don't know where you are right now. She was like, okay, on your lunch hour, let me see what you can do. And they didn't have a model, and I'm really, really great at pulling people. That was the first thing she noticed. Like I said, hey, can I do your makeup to some woman random? She's like, sure. Set her down, did her makeup. And at the counters, it was a time crunch. And I knew a little bit about the products based off of my stocking.
What SKU you had with what color?
I'm sorry, I had like a little agita. But, and so I knew how to educate just by talking about what I liked and how I was doing it. And she noticed that too. like you're just a natural born seller because you're not really selling. You're actually very enthusiastic and you have an actual gift. I would sit I used to draw. So remember, I wanted to go to college to be an artist. I don't know if I mentioned that. I wanted to do designing. And I used to draw.
Saw that.
So
you talked about that.
the makeup just came naturally. I was a big fashion guy. I was a little boy in the room watching Elsa Clinch fashion style every single day.
Nobody knows what we're talking about.
No, this is when supermodels were big. Naomi, Linda. That's why makeup was big for me. Like, I started then, and then the ladies were like, you know what? Let him on the counter.
But wait, you're at the makeup counter.
Yep.
Number one, you're a man.
Yep.
Number two, you're black.
Yep.
What does that look like?
Well, it was
because
odd.
you're dealing with mainly white women.
Yeah.
In department stores.
So there was a part of me, I was so
That's a hill.
I was so oblivious at the time because by then my grandmother had exposed us to so much white and
Yeah,
right?
you were
so
in the culture.
I felt like I belong there. I can do this. And there was a gentleman who worked for Lancome at the time. He actually went off to do Oprah's makeup. His name was Ross. He was their big premiere artist. And I never forget the first day I was on counter, he was standing right there. And when I tell you and viewers, and this is something I will be talking about on my YouTube channel, you see mirrors of what you want right before you. So it didn't feel like a big feat. I felt more like the special one because I was the one that was different. Do you understand?
You utilized
Oh my
that.
God, yeah.
Again, from your grandma.
Yeah.
Marketing.
I felt special.
And you felt special. And you were special. And you are special.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just felt like I stand out. There's not really a lot of me here, not in my same energy. I have an advantage here. And I use that advantage to my fullest.
And you are now.
Yeah.
Because you're using the most important thing that I've seen, one of the most important things I've seen you do to lift and elevate you, your business, and just your philosophy and who you are is men's skin health.
Yeah.
You've taken something that no one really could talk about. I only think a man could talk about it too. I don't think a woman could make this happen, to tell you the truth. Had to be a man. And you have taken, for those of you that don't know, Lashelle has really put the focus, Shelly has really put the focus on a big space of aesthetics that's missing, and that's for men. Because they desire that and they need that, and you've highlighted it, and I appreciate you for that. But you're also focused on men of color, which you'll explain.
Yeah.
But go ahead, tell me how that happened and what that journey was like.
I'll just tell you, I was working at Damone Roberts. He's a well-known brow artist. And I said to him when I got there, I said, you don't have enough men in here. I want more men's brows. They got the best brows.
Oh.
And
So
what
great.
I really like is this industry that we're in is so marketed to women, right? That men is kind of left to the fray. Self-care is left to the fray.
Yes.
Their image is, their wanting to take care, look good, is kind of left to situational things for them. And I saw after so many years of working in this industry, how therapeutic this can be, right? So of course I started with the brows. I was there at Damone's, and he said, sure, do what you can to bring the men in. And that's where I really started to bring more men in. And then I knew that I already knew skincare was coming. This was around the beard phase.
Oh,
but I saw
yeah.
skincare happening for them, and they needed it. But I'll get to that in 1 second. It really started with my father and the men in my family. They are well-groomed men, always have been. And then it's also my love of the 40s. People don't realize in the barbershops, in the 1940s, early 30s, there was the barber, there was the manicurist, there was the esthetician, there was the dentist. So these things were already in our community in a beauty community, it just kind of fell to the wayside. I believe somewhere during the 50s, after the World War, when it was all about masculinity and taking care of the home, and then the 60s came when everybody would let their hair down. Everybody was like, no more self-care. So it was already there.
Yeah.
But so those were my sort of foundational interests. But what really steered me into it was my own healing around my own masculinity and having to come to grips with being a person who I wanted to have better relationships with men that weren't just sexual, okay? And gay men who I still am deathly afraid of as friendships because it's competitive. I can't and I won't.
It's the women's world too. Women are very competitive with each other.
It's different.
So gay men are the same.
Oh yeah. And then I just wanted to have and then the straight men that were my friends, there was a sense of me putting them on a pedestal because they I felt like they had something I didn't have, which I did have. And I said, this is not right. This is not skewed. And then after talking with them and being with them and seeing what some of the things that they felt insecure about, I was like, this industry right here that we do in beauty can really be a benefit to men. But the conversation needs to change. So here's the thing. You said that I'm creating this niche, but the niche was already created. Mm-hmm. What I'm hopefully doing is inspiring a different conversation towards men to take this industry seriously so that it can impact their lives in a positive way.
And you're doing that.
Yeah.
I see it. I feel it. I think it's really important. I knew long ago I wasn't the one for this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like as a female in this industry, it was going to take a man to stand up and say representation.
It's everything. Women have face-to-face relationships. Men have side-to-side relationships. And what that means is if another man goes, well, are you feeling bad? I'm feeling bad too. That's when they feel safe to say it. And their safety is because they're afraid they're going to be judged by that man for being less masculine, right? And so this is why we have these relationships. So it's something about a man who is in this, who's...
Is that important though for a man? I mean, you've got lots of masculine energy.
Mm-hmm. I do. It comes and goes.
You do. It comes, ebbs and flows.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Is that important? Like females have their own dynamic when it comes to power and strength. Is masculinity something that is important man to man?
I think so, yes.
And I mean, you're sharing how that looks, like tearing down barriers and being okay for another man to touch you during a treatment or a facial. Mm-hmm. It's been okay in the exposed world of a barber where they're laying you back in those situations, but in a private room with the door shut.
It's very different.
It's very different.
And the touch is very different.
Yes, very different.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like behind your chair? You have a man. Let's just say it's like, I don't know, the Incredible Hulk.
I have one or two of those.
He comes in. His wife made him do this.
I've had those.
And,
I've had those.
I'm going to do it. So what does it look like?
So I've had a few of those, actually. And it's...
Does the wife prepare you?
Well, she just they're just, I love women sometimes. They go, I'm sending him to you, you'll take care of it. And I think it's just this knowing that, he knows what he's doing, and I'm honored by that. So I don't have to get a lot of talk, and I don't think they should. Like he's coming to you, it's his first time. I'll ask my skincare questions. What is he coming for? But once he comes through the door, I've had many men who are coming, they're clenched.
Oh.
Okay, and fine, no problem. They lay down, and the body energy is just so tight. And I think it's all the above. It's what is this new world? What are you going to do to my face? I don't know if it's necessarily me, but maybe sometimes I think it is me.
Yeah.
I can usually disarm them just by as soon as I'm just myself, And the beautiful thing too is, and I try to say this to a lot of estheticians who work with men, once you come into my space, it's for a man. It helps. Mm-hmm. Right? So they feel a sense of a place of their own.
I've seen your room.
Yeah. So
Has that awesome energy.
yeah, it's the music, it's the smells, it's
Colors.
the colors, it's theirs. You know, because as aesthetics is not usually something that's
No.
masculine, you know, looking. It's just not. So guys are usually clinched up. Once I start,
Bare-knuckled on your
I'm a talker, so I'm letting you know what's going on. And this is where I have to be a professional and really kind of hone in to my gifts of sort of empath, of understanding who's on my table and understanding why they're on my table, not necessarily why the wife told me they were coming. I have to now go, what's going on here? He's uncomfortable. How do I make him comfortable? And I think once the conversation starts happening and I start to actually walk them through the facial, and once I get there and we're laughing and we're talking and we're just chewing the fat, I'm usually asking a lot of questions where they're talking. By the time I get to the massage, because I'm touching them the whole time, but I'm touching them with intention from cleanser on down. So by the time I get to the massage, I can at least get him to a point where he can let go so I can massage him. And it's intention to touch, so the intention of touch. So my touch is with a man like that. You have a wife, you have a kid, you're probably not getting this particular type of touch at home. And it's more of a supportive brother to brother touch. You know, the way I hold his back.
Yeah.
You know, the way I'm doing my effleurage and all that, but it's the way my hands are moving. So he doesn't feel like it's too motherly, which that can be
Motherly.
Right?
Or too
or
sexual.
sexually, right?
Right.
Because I don't always know if they know I'm gay or not. Sometimes I feel like I've felt like sometimes I've had to soften myself up or just going more into my feminine energy. Let me just be honest. I'm not being someone I'm not. So it's understanding those little moments when they walk through the door, who this man is and what he needs, and also being my authentic self and how do I need to pivot in that moment for him. So I hope that answered.
It did.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. This episode is sponsored by Pretty Girl Cosmeceuticals. These products are the best. If you're not using them, you need to use them. You can contact JKH Aesthetics anytime, and we will give you a consultation about how to use these amazing products. We have Glow Girl and Ice Drops. These will keep you young, healthy, and glowing every day of the week. And now, back to the episode. Just to share what you've said, as a female in the industry, connecting with men, we have the same issues, right? You bring a man into your room. What is this going to feel like? You don't want to feel like his mother.
Yep.
And you don't want it sexual.
Yeah.
So that's where energy work is key.
Yeah.
And going back to who you are as a specialist, you were there to feed their holistic side as well as treat any skin disease or issue with their skin. And as long as we zone in on that,
Yep. Emotional, mental, spiritual.
we can open that space for more male clientele because it's out there.
It's needed. I wanted to go into working with men because, you know, over the past couple of years, that word toxic masculinity, which to me means I don't like it. I think it's degrading. I think it's reductive and not really articulating what it really actually is. Men have been conditioned and taught to compartmentalize their emotions to be, unquote, a man. And what that means is to live more in your animalistic self to survive. Logic mind, be tough, all the above. So what happens is you're unaware of your emotions. You're unaware of mostly how to articulate your emotions, right? You even see it as weakness, which is not a weakness. Mm-mm. Actually, vulnerability is very strong. Very strong when you can admit that you don't know, admit that you need something, admit that you're scared. That's bravery. That's masculinity.
Yep.
But men have been taught to not do that for the sake of providing. Capitalism.
Yes.
That's what that's wrapped up into. I need you to produce and provide. So I need for you to be a soldier Wipe those emotions out so you can go out into the field and do those things. And I think that's unfair because men are human too. They have the same amount of emotions that women are having, but they're asked to put them away. So
we're bridging that gap now. I see it in my 19-year-old son.
yeah, it's changing.
It's my son has. I do a lot of young males. I have a lot of. They start as teenagers.
Yep.
And as they progress in age, they still in their 30s. I've been doing this a long time, but 20-something years. But the younger ones, I have a product that's named Pretty Girl. I'm revamping it now to be more unisex. But those kids don't mind. Those boys, they put it on their counter. They have no, doesn't affect them that way. It doesn't affect their masculinity.
Are we talking about the kids of this generation?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they're dope. They are, listen, I
super
am
cool.
all for it. I'm starting them at 19 because by the time they get to 30, they're going to be all in because they recognize, first of all, you're not going to put them in a box to tell them who they are and what they are. That's a beautiful thing. That already foundationally begins a sense of self, individuality, and strength, okay? And then, this idea of self-care and wellness and taking care of yourself, they understand that in order for them to build wealth, they have to also uphold their health, right? They want to look
internal and external.
They want to
right?
look good and feel good. These kids are rock stars, and I am for it. So I think what really started to happen after COVID, that wellness and taking care of yourself started to pick up, and we became essential as estheticians. We did. We became very essential, and these kids were part of that.
They were.
They are part of we need self-care. We need time off.
These kids, you're talking about 8th graders that were going into 9th grade, seniors that were graduating from high school, college students that were and everything was taken away from them. Everything. What they knew in their sweet years of their friendships, they couldn't go to events, their graduations. So many things were taken away, stripped from them. They're a really unique. They will change the world.
Well, they are, but the beautiful thing is,
aesthetics and
it was taken away. So what happens when all everything that you've been conditioned to know materially have been taken away? You are forced to go back to doing what? Dealing with yourself, looking at yourself, taking care of yourself. A lot of the stuff that we do is distraction anyway, for us not to sit with ourselves to understand. So these things that we do in this community is vital for lifestyle medicine. We are vital. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because we are part of the self-connection, that self-connection movement that needs to happen for us to continue to expand and grow and elevate as a world. Did I say as a world? Is that a word?
It is. I like it.
I'm gonna use it as a world.
As a world, because we are a world.
We are a world. But yeah, so these kids get it, and I'm here for it. And so I wanted to be a part of men because there's a renaissance happening with men too. Masculinity is not dead, and I think there is a misconception that because men are becoming more vulnerable and more honest, there is alpha males and are being pushed to the side. That's not true at all. We need them, but I think the idea is that there's different types of ways of being male and different types of ways of being strong as a male. And we are at the forefront as aesthetics in the aesthetics community, whether we know it or not.
Oh, I couldn't agree more with that.
First point of contact.
I couldn't agree. Yes, first point of contact.
Yeah.
To finish up with COVID, one thing I do know about you is you started your business a few months before COVID hit. Yeah. Now, COVID was a difficult time for our industry, but it ended up being a great time for our industry.
Yeah.
But it was a very tough time. Now, I know you launched, I think, January of 2020 independently.
Yep.
And then COVID, I think, was March. I'll never forget, actually. I think. It was March 17th.
Wow.
Everything was shut down.
Yeah.
Share with us the fears of that. You had just started a business. Everything kind of goes.
In order for me to get there, so I started on those dates that you said. I was deathly afraid. I did not want to do it. I had to open the business up because Damone had closed. And I had a bunch of clients, a lot of clients, and I knew that I did not want to work for another salon, but I was not ready for my own space. I had in my head, because I had traveled right before we shut down, to Paris in that February, and I was like, I'm going to try to take the business here. Maybe I can work here and work under someone, get my name up, blah, 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 blah. But I had to get the space, and I was so scared because I went into my life savings. I was able to build up over the 7 years I was with Damone, actual money. Before that, I didn't really have a lot of money. And so I was like, okay. So I did, and COVID came, and honestly, there was a calm. I wasn't scared. And maybe because I didn't have to worry about the business, because I was like, okay, this is...
You had a little safety net.
I have a little safety net.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, thank God for that extra money, because I stacked my chips.
Can we
Honey, I stacked my money. I put that money away. I put it away.
Yeah.
And I actually took that time, and I hired someone to help me market, to kind of get this whole men's thing up, and started doing my research. So it gave me that time. On top of,
that's pretty cool.
By May, my brow clients were like, hey, we need our brows done.
Oh, yeah, they did.
And I was busy. I took my little studio, because I had a studio, and I set it up like work. And I had the Beverly Hills girls coming to Koreatown, Los Angeles. I was like, my landlord was like—
People were searching. They were knocking on doors looking to get their lashes and brows done.
My landlord was like, what is this Bentley doing here? Like, because it was like Koreatown. It's like, and I was like, well, she's here to get her brows. And they were like, what? Like, you with you? And I'm like, yeah, with me. So I stayed busy, and I was okay. So it wasn't as scary. It was a time for me to kind of adjust. It actually gave me time to focus on the mission of the business and adjust. The scary part came, a delayed reaction with Lashelle, because I'm such a survivor kind of move. I don't get to feel things right away. It takes time. The scary part came last year.
Okay, so what happened last year?
It just all hit.
Everything.
And let me be very honest, it's the finances started to look different. The money that I had saved was leaving, because I've been investing in my business. I've sacrificed not having a car. I sacrificed not having the apartment that I want. I have the apartment that I want, but I kept myself really kind of simple and small.
Yeah.
Because I'm putting money into the business. And somewhere, honestly, the men started, they were there, and then they weren't. And I said, what's happening? And then what was happening is, and no one talks about this in entrepreneurship.
No.
And I'll tell you—
the weaknesses, the struggles.
What comes up is like a relationship with your business. Everything that was insecure in me, everything that was unhealed in me, last year came up. Now, I could say it was the residuals from what was going on in the world, and I felt it later. Could be. But I think it had a lot to do with all of that, especially the first part. And the idea of money really, really scared me. I didn't want this business. I didn't think I can do it. I said, I don't know if I can make the money that I want, And, my business gave me a moment to dream. Before that, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I didn't think that it was possible for me. But after having the business for 2 years and having it through COVID, I started to see what was possible. And then I was clear. And now I was determined. And I started to go towards that. And then things started to waver.
Do you think it was just a pivot? Because I feel the same way. We reach these places where we lose our business what angle are we, what direction are we going in? Where are we at? We're spinning, and everything seems overwhelming, and we're afraid to walk down that path because there's so many paths open. Yeah. Did you feel like you had a ton of opportunities and just didn't know how to hone it?
Honey, you're ahead of me. I'm there now. That's where I'm at now. Last year it was, do you not think you deserve?
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And also coming from a family that was working class and that was, hey, just be a worker and make sure you could pay your rent. The idea of dreaming big and survival, right? And so I was like, how do I break past this ceiling financially? And I just didn't know how to do that. I honestly did not know how to do that other than work my behind off hours after hours. And I said, that's not what I'm going to do.
It's risk. Taking a risk in yourself.
Yeah. You know what? I thought, I guess those risks change, right? Because I said, I've been taking a freaking risk. Let me be honest. And I said, now what more do I have to do?
Yeah,
do
with
you
your
want
pocketbook, you were taking a risk, but
Yeah.
you weren't taking one with yourself. You were kind of not really believing. I've been to this impasse. You just don't believe that you alone can do it. You start to rely on these like financials and what does this look like? I need to see the data on this. When really it's in you. Because you can make anything happen as long as you believe in yourself.
And you said it, right? It's those moving parts, and then where to prioritize your thoughts in those moving parts, and in trying to balance that all out, I just was becoming unhinged because I wanted it so darn bad. Now, let me be honest. I wanted it really bad. And I knew I can do it, right? Like for 4 years, I was able to get myself on podcasts and publications, and as far as I got with this men's thing. So I knew it was there, but I was like, I need to get,
Want it now. Greedy.
Fast.
Greed.
Fast. I wanted it so bad. I was like, why don't they see the value in me?
Look at me. Look at
me. There's no one out here doing this. I'm a black man, damn it. And I was just like, no, Lashelle, like nobody owes you that. And you have to redirect how you think. And so that was this year. I had to, and guess who was running my company when I was thinking like that? Little Lashelle that wasn't taken care of. He was running my company. He was like, I need you to
having his temper tantrum.
Yeah, because I need you to take care of me. So you have to, this is why we're important right now, especially as the world is changing, because success cannot happen without mental health, skin health, heart health, spiritual health. Cannot happen. It was imploding last year. So this year, I've been taking care of little Lashelle.
Oh.
And so now I'll tell you about that. And I'll tell you about that now. I've been stepping out of my comfort zone. I was in a fundraiser contest with Dancing Like a Star.
I saw that.
It was awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So Dancing with the Stars came to a great foundation called Giving a Smile Foundation, who gives children, unfortunate children, dental work, for free. And they put on a contest, and I was one of the contestants, and I did the Paso Doble, and it was fantastic at the theater, and that was new and fresh, and it allowed me to engage. I went take some drawing classes because I used to draw, and I did skylining. Here in Corona, zip lining.
Zip lining?
Yeah, I'll never do that again, but it was fun. It was scary. So I've been doing that. And then another part of me taking care of myself is getting mentors. Like I had to get mentors who have done this work. And not just mentors in my industry, which I have, mentors who are not in the industry.
Yeah. Yes. Those are the best ones.
Uh-huh. I had someone he works in stocks. He called me, good friend. He said, how are you doing? I said, I'm doing well. He says, how's the business? I said, overall, it's great. I'm still working on how to get more money. He says, what? He says, let me tell you something. I see you out there. You can talk. Everyone likes you. Doesn't matter how many nice words you say, how many people listen to you. They will always listen to a nice guy. But if you're not closing the sale and you're not making money, then you're not in business. And I had to sit with that. That was on Saturday morning. And I have been processing that. Not that I don't believe it. It's just it's time to level up.
Time to level up.
And so I have gotten that from these mentors. So that's how I've been sort of reconciling last year's imploding of emotions.
Do you hear that? Whoever's listening right now, mentorship. Outside of anything that you do in life, it's super important.
Pamela Springer, Alicia Pierce, Preston Douglas. These are to name a few of the people in this industry who have Steve McGee from Neogenesis, who have grabbed my hand. First of all, I came to them because you have to be proactive about it.
Oh, you do.
And plus, I wanted it, so remember that. So I went after it. They've literally hand held me with their time and their skill set and their information. And I am pliable, malleable. I am your clay, mold me, because I want this so bad. Mentorship is very, very, very important.
It is. And I know people are putting a high price value on that these days, but which is unfortunate in a way. I think we should be giving back a little bit more to our own industry in the best way we can. And you're doing that through free information, your podcast, your YouTube channel, your Instagram. That's a great resource to build people up also in the industry.
Yeah, it's funny because I will be talking more about this on my podcast because there's a fine line. We have to make money. Mm-hmm. Things are changing for estheticians. Mm-hmm. And the laws are getting much more constricted, especially in the state of California.
Yes.
And our hands are tied. And so we have to find ways to make money. I don't mind giving away free information. It's something I learned in recovery, giving it away to keep it. You share and you help someone else, and that's how you stay rooted in your own knowledge and growing and accountable in your own knowledge. But we have to make money too, right? Some of us are not going to go into medical where the money is. Some of us are going to stay in aesthetics. So how can we make money? Well, maybe you are going to give a mentorship program, and maybe you're going to ask people to pay for it. And that's nothing wrong with that.
No. No, there's not. But there is a place for estheticians out there, and that's my big thing, is trying to keep them in their lane, their scope of practice, not go rogue.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you have to compete, and you got to do it because the hammer will fall down on you. Mm-hmm. I've heard it way too many times. And you have a skill of a skin specialist, and utilize that in whatever form you can. For instance, what you've done.
You have value.
And you've added value to the world of men's health. Mm-hmm. And I think that's pretty amazing. And I'm impressed by that. And you walk the walk. And there's nothing more impressive than that. And you see it, you feel it when you're with you. You know that that's your path and what you stand for. And not only that, your journey is amazing. And I think it's amazing that you shared that with us today. We did not have enough time to go through everything, but I want to have you back.
Oh, I'll come back.
Because I'd like us to get into the tips and for estheticians, teaching them what it's like, kind of the steps, the tips, what it's like to start a business, the fears. We got into a little bit of that. Yep. But I think if we could kind of get behind the scenes of that and also break down the barriers a little bit deeper into men's skin health and what those are and how you can help change that for especially women estheticians that are uncomfortable with seeing men. They're going to have to get out of that space.
That's a huge, I've had so many conversations with female estheticians, and I respect and understand their apprehension with men. And yes, that's something definitely I've spoken about, and I will love to have a conversation with you about.
All men aren't coming in to jump your bones.
Yeah, but we have to take into consideration that we never know what has happened to that woman.
That's true.
With men in her life. And I have to take that into consideration when women are apprehensive about
They are, because it's like a door shut thing. It's very,
Men hit on me.
I mean, they do,
So
it happens.
there's a way it happens. And it's just, you are the professional. And there's so many ways that you can combat that respectfully to yourself and to as your business, and still keep the client. You just have to know how to redirect.
I have an amazing human here. Her name is Melissa. She is an intimate waxer. If you're a man, you don't really want to cross her.
Okay.
She has that energy.
Yeah.
And she has a huge male population.
Right.
And she's had it for years, but she's been able to tap into that.
Her masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Dominant,
and she has
strong.
it. And she's as female as they get.
Yeah.
Feminine as they get, but she's been able to tap that in. But she's also very business focused.
Yeah.
Giving them what they need. And ultimately, men just want what they came
That's
for.
it.
They're very black and white that way.
Mm-hmm.
They want what they want, and they come in and pay for it, and they're the most loyal clients.
They want good service.
Good service.
They want good service, and they want to see what is the practical function of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yes.
And once they have that, they're pretty good.
They're pretty good. They're super loyal.
Mm-hmm. Very loyal.
They're extremely loyal client.
Very loyal and very compliant.
Yes. Oh, the best compliant patients are my male patients.
And I love, one of my favorite things, let me share, is like when men who don't normally do skincare start to go down the path, and we work together for a year, and like I do eyebrows too sometimes, and like, Lashelle, you missed this one brow, this one hair, and I'm like, this is the guy who was freaking out the first day,
Right.
And he's like putting the mirror up to his face, and he was like, so what do you think about this? And they become so engaged with themselves, and that's the thing that I love about working with men, because that's something, when you walk through the door, you were so guarded towards me and this experience. But look at you now. You've become so connected just by me giving you a skincare routine. It's the little things like that we get to help put people on the path of, we need a lot more community and love here. And this is my way. I get to use skin. I get to use my skill set in skin to sort of help get me down that path with the guys.
Breaking barriers.
Hopefully.
I think you are.
Yeah.
And thank you, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
He is my friend.
Yes.
So we always do a toast.
Okay.
But with Lashelle, he doesn't drink alcohol.
I don't.
And we honor that too.
Oh, thank you.
But it's just what we do at the end of the Beauty Outlaw.
Okay.
So we chin chin. And today we're going to chin chin to Topo Chico.
Topo Chico.
So here we go.
Are we doing an endorsement? Do we do this?
There we go.
Hi,
yeah.
Top.
Do we get an endorsement
We
here?
will.
Hello?
Topo Chico.
We will. Topo Chico. Chin chin.
Chin chin.
To my friend.
Thank you.
Friend forever for sure.
Yeah.
Lashelle. We're going to have you back on, and we'll talk about what we're going to talk. We're going to come up with some great ideas to talk about.
Oh, I thought we were going to really get into some stuff, but we will.
We
I
could
got
be here
you.
for like 5 hours.
Uh-huh.
So
Yes, we can.
we gave a lot of information and a lot about you, and we need to know about you because you're an amazing human.
Thank you.
And you're filling a space that's needed, and I appreciate you.
I appreciate you
And
having
I'm so
me.
glad our paths crossed.
Me too.
Chin chin.
Chin chin. Chin chin.
See you on the next Beauty Outlaw Part 2 with Lashelle.
Ciao.
Shelly.
Ciao.
Peace out.